So let's start by asking a very simple question. The minute you drop something in your dustbin, do you believe that it no longer is your problem? Is it then the municipality's problem, or the government's problem, or the garbage collector's problem? Or is it still your problem? Somewhere along the way, we've beautifully managed one small thing to throw our responsibility along with our waste. Every morning, the waste disappears from our homes magically. We feel clean, we feel responsible, and we feel done. But the truth is that the waste doesn't disappear. It merely changes locations. From our homes, it moves to our streets, from the streets to dumping points, and from there to landfill sites, which are growing like silent mountains in our cities. So, the real question isn't, where is the waste going? The real question is, where does the responsibility go? Before we talk about waste management systems, before we talk about policies, before we talk about technologies, let us talk about the very first step. And the very first step does not start in the landfill sites. The very first step starts at your dustbin. It starts with you. It starts with you segregating your waste into wet, dry, sanitary, and special care. And let me put it very clearly. Proper segregation has the full potential to divert all municipal solid waste away from landfill sites through proper composting, recycling, and safe disposal of hazardous waste. Because once the waste is mixed, there is no technology in the world that can segregate it completely. It's almost like mixing dal and rice and asking someone to separate it. Will you be able to do it perfectly? No. You may try, you may spend time, you may do a little right, but still it remains mixed. This is waste mixing. And what if I did not mix it in the first place? That is waste segregation. And ironically, waste segregation isn't difficult. It is a very simple process. In fact, it is not even an active process. It is a passive one. It does not require your time, effort, energy, or money. All it requires is a little awareness and will to do it. Simply requires do not mix. Is it that difficult? But no. How many of us still practice waste segregation at home? And why is it important? It's important because unless and until we segregate the waste, we cannot manage each of the streams separately. And what exactly is waste? Not everything that you throw in the dustbin is waste. Over 90% of what we throw is actually a resource. Wet waste, which is leftover food, fruit and vegetable peels, tea leaves, eggshells, can actually be composted, or we can produce biogas from it. The dry waste, which is paper, plastic, metal, glass, Tetra Pak, milk pouches, can actually be recycled into beautiful products. And the sanitary and special care waste is actually the real waste. But the minute we mix it all up, everything loses identity and everything becomes waste. So, is waste really a waste? No, it is our choices that make waste. For example, if I put a drop of poison in a matka full of clean drinking water, the entire water becomes poisonous and unfit to drink. This is exactly what happens when you mix waste together. A few years back, I visited Japan, a beautiful country, and there's something which I experienced, it has stayed with me forever. One evening around 7 o'clock in the evening, I was standing in my balcony sipping my cup of coffee, and it was dark, there was no one on the road. In the building across the road, there was a gentleman leaning on the balcony and smoking a cigarette. Now, what do we expect in our context? There's no one. What would he do? He would just flick the ash down the balcony? But no. He reached into his pocket, he pulled out an ashtray and he used it. No one was watching him, but he was watching himself. Another incident, Osaka Tube Station. An elderly lady accidentally dropped a wrapper down. Before anyone could even react, 6 to 8 people stepped forward. One of them picked up the wrapper and threw it in the dustbin. That was when I actually realized that Japan is a clean nation, not because of its government, not because of its system. It is clean because people of Japan take ownership for their waste, they take ownership for their public places, they take ownership for their cities, and they take ownership for their country. A country is not defined by the character of its, a country is defined by the character of its people, not by its government. So if we want a clean nation, we will actually have to earn one. I'll talk about my small colony called Navjeevan Vihar. It's located in South Delhi, and we tried something very simple in that colony. Instead of waiting for the systems to fix up things, we became the systems ourselves. We went door to door, training our residents, our garbage collectors, our staff, and our domestic workers to segregate waste, and we achieved 100% source segregation. And over the last 7.5 years, we've saved over 10 lakh kilograms of waste from going to the landfill site. No miracle, no advanced technology, just one small thing, taking responsibility of the first step. The first step is source segregation. And where is the source? The source is your home, the source is your office, the source is your school, your college, so on and so forth. So if a small colony could do this, and imagine the impact, what could happen if the entire nation steps forward and starts just one small thing, segregation of waste into 4 categories. But how many of us practice that? We do not realize that the first step is you segregating the waste. And if the first step in the waste chain goes wrong, the entire chain is compromised. Composting will not happen, recycling will fail, systems will fail, and then we will say systems are broken. So, dear ones, systems are not broken. Your first step is broken. So, we need to fix that. Whenever we are crossing the garbage mountain on our way from Delhi to Chandigarh, what do? We turn our faces this side, we roll up our windows, we even blame the government. What are they doing? But have we ever stopped and thought about it? What is this mountain made up of? Is it the waste which is lying somewhere else, or is it falling from the skies? No, the very waste which I am generating from my home is the one which is contributing to that mountain. We may choose not to look that side, but it stands there. It stands there as a reflection of our collective choices, and it is not distant. It is deeply personal. It is impacting all our lives. It is impacting and destroying the future of our children and our grandchildren. What do we do when we mixed waste? We put wet, dry, sanitary, broken glass, syringe which has been used into the single dustbin. What is the impact? Have you ever thought? The poor garbage collector who sorts all of that waste, he can and he may, and there are very high chances that he will end up injuring his hands, or his life will be exposed to serious diseases. You never intended to do so, but you ended up doing that, causing harm. So, it is not about anything else, it is about responsibility. I never meant to do that, but it happened because of my action. That is responsibility. Is it fair? That poor guy does not have any other choice but to dig his hands into all of the dirt which has been created in my home, my office, my school, my college, because he has to feed his children. Is it actually fair that a problem created by me ends up infecting, injuring, or putting somebody else's life at risk just because he is not as privileged, as fortunate, as educated as us? Can we actually offer him a little life of dignity by just segregating the waste? Yes, we can. But how many of us choose to do that consciously? I'm not blaming anyone. It's not that we don't want to do it. It's just that we do not know the impact of our small little actions. Had we known that our mere practice of segregating waste can solve the problem of waste to up to 85%, would you or would you not want to practice segregation? You would, because our actions have an impact. So next time when you see waste or garbage lying on the road, scattered, dumped, before you actually remark, what is the government doing? What are the corporations doing? Pause and think, did I take the first step right? Did I segregate? Because if not, then I am equally responsible for this waste problem. In fact, I am 85% responsible for this problem. Only 15% of the problem solution lies with the government, with the technology, with the agencies, with the NGOs. 85% you as an individual, you as a waste generator are responsible for it. So waste isn't about garbage. Waste is about responsibility. Waste is about behavior. Waste is about character. And it is not just about intention. It is about impact. And it's about time that we stop asking, why me? And start saying, why not me? We do not need solutions. We are the solution. Just by doing 3 simple things, if I tell you that that will be your biggest contribution towards nation building. Segregate your waste. Say no to single-use plastic as far as possible. And say no to littering and spitting. Will you or will you not do that? It doesn't take your time. It doesn't take your energy. It doesn't take your money. Just the will and desire to do it. Jai Hind.